Why, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I'm your host and guys, Ironshield, and today I want to talk about, no spoilers, my thoughts on the brand new War of the Rohirrim anime. I will have to say, my guest video aged very well that I put out a few days ago. I'm having troubles not just beaming with happiness because it was really good. I was really expecting a bunch of things that I was worried that was going to totally ruin it, and it was awesome. So I'm going to try my best to give you a quick thought and overview of what I felt and a couple things and worries I had that I think were then unfounded once I watched it. They had founding previously before I watched it. But I'm going to cover that all right now in this video. Okay, so what does Voice of the Rings, Zollin Ironshield here on Voice of the Rings think about the series? So I have to start with the first thing. The whole entire movie, I was either grinning because I was enjoying it so much. I realized that after because my face hurt. Or I actually teared up a few times, and I don't do that normally. But with anime, it can be very emotional. They can pull more emotions almost than like live action can. If you're someone that you're being held back from watching it because of it being anime, I would recommend to you to try it out and see what you think. I don't know if everyone's gonna it's gonna be a thing for everyone with anime, right? But the thing is, it was really good, guys. Okay, so I was expecting. All right, so let's say there's a mid bar, right? And then let's say you were expecting below that, you think it wasn't going to be good, or you're expecting right above that bar, right? Like it was going to be decent, you know? That's where I was like right above the bar. I thought it'll be good, but maybe not the best, right? Blew my expectation out of the water. It was way better than I was expecting. I'm really happy about it, you guys. Anyway, sorry. Okay, calm down. Okay, edit that out. Nah, don't edit it out. Just leave it on. His editor Zollin. Anyway, I'm just like, I'm pretty stoked. It's gonna be one of those movies that I now watch for the next 15 years as a fun event with the family or whatever. It's pretty good for all ages, except there's obviously a little violence, a little scary at spots. So maybe, a child under 5 or 6, if they don't really know what's going on, maybe not the video for them, or the movie, I should say. But it was fun. It was really fun to see in the theater with like the really good speakers, where like rumbling when Helm blows the horn of Helm Hammerhand. It like rumbles. It was pretty cool. But again, no spoilers. I'm gonna do my very best in this video to do no spoilers. Let's get a few things out of the way. A couple things I was worried about. All right, and it's funny because I'm hearing a couple mixed opinions on this, depending on the people who've seen it. By the way, I don't want to rub it in or anything, but what I was saying about, hey guys, let's not review and judge it until we've actually seen it, right? I'm glad that I was vindicated of that. That aged well. Because, yeah, it was really good. I think there's going to be always a couple people in anything, right? There's some people, I know some people who didn't like the original Lord of the Rings trilogy. And that's insane to me, okay? Because, like, that is, like, so universally loved by everyone. But again, let's take the Hobbit trilogy, right? The majority of people like the Hobbit trilogy. But there are a group that don't like it a lot, right? That's totally fine. Cool. That's your opinion. Totally cool, no big deal. I love the Hobbit series. There are things I don't like in the Hobbit series, but I don't hate it as a whole. I love it as a whole, right? There's a few things I'd pick out, like the love triangle. Yeah. But let's go back to War of the Rohirrim. So let's start with first thing. People were worried that Hera was going to be like a Mary Sue, all right? And real quick, what's the definition of a Mary Sue? So we're all on the same page, okay? All right. I want us all to be on the same page with this, okay? A Mary Sue is a fictional character who is unrealistically perfect and lacks flaws, making them seem unrealistic and unrelatable, okay? The term is often used to describe female characters, but it can also apply to any character in literature, film, or television, all right? Movie, right? That kind of stuff. I'd like to also add, in my mind, a Mary Sue is also someone who's like super disrespectful to other people, thinks she knows everything, can beat everything. I don't need anyone else. I can do everything better than everybody else. That kind of thing, right? So I am happy to report to you that is not the case. In fact, it is quite the opposite. I don't want to give you spoilers, so I'm going to say this very carefully. But She's very respectful to the leadership, being her father, Helm. She is saved multiple times. So normally, let's say like, you know, in a movie, usually, if someone is taken or something or this or that, they like, oh, they have to, you know, they break themselves out. It's a Mary Sue, right? Oh, I'm going to break myself out. Oh, I'm going to save myself. I don't need any person to help me. I don't need any guy to help me or this or that or not anyone else. I don't need anyone to help me. I can just break myself out, right? That's really unrealistic and unrelatable because usually if you're trapped or something, you need someone to help you. Anyway, throughout the show of the War of the Rohirrim, I can think of 3 or 4 instances where she is saved, okay, by her family and friends, all right? That is awesome. That is not a Mary Sue, all right? No one can convince me otherwise. That is not the term of a Mary Sue. Another thing is she is relatable. She is relatable. I grew up with a bunch of friends who did horseback riding and had a pack station in the mountains, and they could do crazy things on their horses, these young girls. And they're like my sisters, right? I have a sister who could also do that, mind you. She grew up, she did horseback, she did barrel riding. My sister, she was like one of those like crazy Western horse girls that just could do everything. But my friends up in the mountains, they were like that too. So everything that Hera did was believable. There's one thing that you'll see in the show. It's something when she jumps, okay? Didn't think realistically with physics that would work. But that might have been the whole anime aspect a little bit there, or maybe not quite understanding the distance that they were really showing. But besides that, so much of it was, yeah, no, you know, a really good writer could do that. She's the daughter of a warrior who's taught her. Helma's the best warrior in the inland, right? And her brothers are really good fighters too. And now let's go into the next part, okay? So again, she is respectful to the upper people. She's not disrespectful. She does mostly everything she does could be done because I know people in real life who are my like sisters who can do this stuff. Okay, it's not like now. Granted, I'd like to point something out. It's a very small percentage that could do stuff like that, right? So that idea that like, oh well, anyone could do it. It's like, well, you'd have to be doing your whole life and been practiced in something or horseback riding or whatever you're doing or swordsmanship, that kind of thing. So it is like, yeah, that's realistic. But, again, it all made sense from the stuff. The, Awen being the voice actress that, like, does the storytelling, really good job. They break it into, like, 3 different, segments of story, it feels like. Awesome. I must warn you, do not drink a lot of liquid before the movie because it's long. It's 2 hours and 40-something minutes, I think. And ads for the other movies makes it even longer. I was in there for almost 3 hours. So, I made a mistake. I drank a bunch of my drink right at the beginning of the movie, and I was like, what have I done? But the good news is I did not have to take a break in the middle of the movie, so I got to see it all. But it was like, very, very well done in that area. Now, I'm talking a lot about Hera. The reason I brought her up first is that, as I guessed, and as we kind of knew, she was going to be the catalyst or the eyes that we look through to see the story, the original story. Yes, they followed the original story very well. In fact, hello Hollywood and everybody else out there who does movies and TV shows. This is how you take the original content and you put it, you adapt it in a way where you connect things that you don't have the connections to. You don't just make up new plots, okay? So they did a really good job with the Rohirrim. It felt like they took all the original story plots that you loved, and there's some parts that Tolkien wrote that didn't like, how do you get to that point from a movie perspective, right? And they did a good job on getting to that point and like making sense. Why was he even there, right? Or this person was there in the story, because Tolkien kind of talks about it as a side story, right? And like big chunks of story plot that has like holes. So they filled in those holes really well. It made sense what was going on. So again, let's go on from that then. So again, I actually really ended up liking the character Hera. And it's not just like a neutral. Like I actually like enjoyed it. I was like, okay, like this is a believable character. She reminds me a lot of my sister and all my friends I grew up with, right? She had a lot of respect for her brothers. They were like really close. There was a really neat brother-sister relationship there that they're very respectful to each other. That was really cool as someone who has a sister. I really liked that a lot. And again, they did a good balancing of a couple different things. But again, I can't go into it because I'll spoil it right now. This is not the spoiler video. So that was all really well done. Also, you might be wondering, what about Freylof, right? Let's talk about him. I just butchered his name. No, Freylof. It's like Freyleaf, but Freylof, I think is how you say it. Anyway, not important right now. But anyway, it's the nephew, or their cousin, right? Which she also has a good relationship, who is the one that later becomes king with Theoden's line, okay? Now, everyone knows that from the original plot. I don't want to give any more spoilers. I'm not going to go into that anymore, because if someone hasn't known the original story, I want to keep things special for you, okay? But most Lord of the Rings fans watching this, you know the original story of Helm and Hammer, right? Almost everyone does. But again, I'm not going to go into it too much for spoiler reasons. And then, so he is in it a lot. Freylof, I think, could have been in it just a slight bit more, but he still is a main character in a lot of it. The main focus of the story is around the family. So Helm and his sons, is it Hem and Hameth? And, oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name right now. I just watched them say it like 10 times on screen yesterday. Oh my gosh. All right, anyway, the two sons of Helm, right? And the sister Hera. And they're like the main focal points of the story. And I'd like to point out that they did not overshadow Helm. That was one of my big worries going into this. I really thought they were going to overshadow Helm, and he was just going to be like a little like cameo of like, oh, he does this cool moment in the story, and then they move on, and it's all about Hera. No, there was a lot about Helm, as pretty much he was the second main character with Hera, right? She was the eyes we were seeing the story through. He's the main character. So, from the storytelling perspective of how they did it, because they did it like a history storytelling. Like Eowyn, who's the voice actor of the narrator from the original actress from the Lord of the Rings trilogy, she's like telling you a story. So she comes up occasionally to kind of continue the story and move a couple weeks past a certain point. Very well done. I really liked it. The two brothers had a lot. They had a lot of parts. They built their characters up a little bit. They were very cool characters. I really liked her brothers. And I don't want to tell you. I'll talk about a spoiler one later. But again, there's some stuff they do. Freylof, by the way, has a really awesome moment. He does some really... Okay, I'm going to use this word carefully. YouTube won't matter. It's past 5 minutes. Really badass, okay? So was Helm. They were awesome. And anime really helped push that point home, how awesome they are. Something you might not be able to do in live action realistically. Like where it wouldn't feel right with live action. You can still do it, but it wouldn't feel as epic. Anime does a good job of that. So they felt like what Tolkien writes. They were just super cool, and they're just like super awesome, manly Rohirrim men, right? Which they did. They did not hold back on that. It was really awesome. So anyway, that was really fun. The overall arching story plot was exactly what Tolkien wrote. They gave a couple incentives and kind of made a bad guy. His name is, you probably already know, Wolf, right? They make it like he's kind of knew Hera when he was young kind of thing. There is a little bit like, oh gosh, the part where, oh gosh, I can't say it because it might be spoilers for other people who don't know the history of Helm Hammerhand, but you guys all know why the war started, right? That part's awesome. It's really, really well done. And the music just guides you through it. The art style was really cool. They did like a beautiful art style with like also an animation for reality on top of things moving. It was really cool. So some of it looked painted, like drawn anime style painted, and some of it was like that more classic animated style. It was really cool, a cool mix. And again, like the music, that was one thing my mom pointed out after we watched it in the theater. She's like, oh my gosh, the music was so good. It just like flowed and brought you through every part and just helped with the emotions. It was really well done. There was a little tiny tad bit of a remembrance of the Howard Shore music from the Lord of the Rings Rohan themes, but then mostly they wrote new stuff and had some different songs, but it was in there to give you that feeling, right? That's another thing. They did not tug on your nostalgia to make the movie good. It's a standalone movie, okay? That's a huge thing for me that I noticed immediately after watching it, is that I was wondering how much they would tug on our heartstrings with nostalgia, right? How much nostalgia would there be? I can't point out a few things that I remember because that would be a spoiler, and I'll do that later in another video. Later this week, once everyone's kind of seen it. I don't want to do any spoilers yet. But how nostalgic will it be, right? And they did it just enough where it feels really good. Like, it's good nostalgia. I need a haircut. Look at this haircut. Sorry, squirrel moment. But anyway, it was totally. It just felt so well done. It was just like the connection of the music and the storytelling was just really, really, really well done. Again, it's really hard to not go into spoilers while you're talking about this. What's another thing I can point out? So again, this idea that she would be now. Depending on your terminology of a girl boss, right? Whether being a negative terminology or just someone who is cool and strong, people use it in different terms. That's why I define the term of a Mary Sue real quick. But let's just see. What's the definition of a girl boss? Let's just see what Google says. Is a combination of the words, and the term refers to a woman who acts as a boss by leading or owning a business. So this is more of the positive terminology of it. There's a lot of people that use it as a negative terminology. Again, I don't like to be really negative here, right? It was popularized by... so, like... It's funny because there's a negative connotation. This is the positive connotation that Google is giving us. It's not really very helpful to what I was talking about. But let me just try to define it the best I can so you know where I'm at, so we're on the same page. Usually a girl boss is just like someone who, again, it lines in my mind to a Mary Sue quite well. Where it just kind of like, I can do everything. I don't need anyone to help me. Very disrespectful to everyone. Like, I'm just awesome. Look what I can do. That kind of stuff. Now, there are a few moments where she does things that maybe you can say, okay, that might have been a little bit intense, right? Like, maybe a little bit girl bossy. But she never does something disrespectful like that you'd imagine that. Like a snotty, like, know-it-all. I'm better than everyone else. I don't need anyone to help me. That's not the case. We see her be saved multiple times. I'm going to have to say that. It's not a spoiler, but she's saved multiple times. I said it at the beginning, I think. That is not a Mary Sue, okay? A Mary Sue is like, I just get out of anything by myself. No, she gets saved multiple times. She has respect for her father Helm, respect for her brothers. Again, I said at the beginning, they have a good relationship. Very pleased. I was very pleased. I was really, 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 really worried that they were going to try to make it a, I'm the hero of the story, you know what I mean? And it's like they make her like what you think she would do in her position, like realistically. Like, what would you do when you have to command this because no one else is there right at that moment, right? Or what would you do if, would you respect this order? And like she does, right, with a couple things. And then there's a time, let's just say, without doing spoilers, there's a time where someone tells her, don't, I got this, right? Because they're like a guard for her, let's just say that. And she respects it, right? And then she knows who it is, but then basically they're in trouble. So then she tries to help them, and it's realistic on what she does, but then it's it's like that she needs saving because of her decision. Again, so then they save her, and it's like it's very realistic in that way. It was very relatable. Like, I know my mom or sister would do the same thing in that scenario, right? If I was in danger or someone else, right? And I just saved them, and now I'm in danger. You know what I mean? They wouldn't just sit there and watch me die, right? Kind of thing. So it felt very relatable, very realistic in that way, and I really appreciate that. Now, again, I don't want to be a I told you so, but some people are going to dislike it. I get it. But, people were saying with the ratings, oh, it's going to be bad, it's going to be horrible, which made me really get worried, even though my gut feeling was it was going to be good because I knew who was producing it, right? I knew that the Japanese person that had done really good movies, I forget his name right now, I'm sorry. Philippe worked with Peter Jackson with the trilogy, right? Obviously, Warner Brothers has the rights to the original stuff. Why would they ruin their recipe as for success with their original stuff? Do it similarly, right? And again, that's what they went for, right? Now, again, could we argue, well, why did we have Hera as the main character? Why couldn't we use someone else? Well, I guess you could have used someone else. I guess you could have used, like, Freyla, maybe, as the person we look through. But, like, it was when I think about it from a storytelling perspective, it does seem like it was the right pick of character and where she's positioned to see everything happening, right, realistically. So I think they did a good job with it. I'm really happy with it. It's kind of like I want to, and they kind of seemed like they jabbed a little bit at Amazon because it was kind of like there's some parallels almost between like how they did Galadriel on Amazon and her, but it's like the flip coin. It's like, this is how you should write a real strong girl character, right? That isn't just pretending to usurp whatever, you know? So, and again, my lady viewers, you can let me know too what you think of the show. My mom loved it. My sister's going to see it day after tomorrow, so maybe when I make my next video, I'll tell you how they think of it. It was really good. And again, I don't like unrealistic stuff. Meaning, there are a small percent of anyone in the world, right, who might be good at something drastically different than other people, right? But in the case of this, I feel like it was very realistic. Again, her being the son of one of the best warriors, Rohan, and her two brothers also being good warriors, mind you, in the show, which was very nice. And they all got good spotlight moments, and the storytelling was just, it really felt really good. They did a really good job. And I don't know what else I can really say right now in this video without giving you spoilers. The music was great. The visuals, art was insane. The storytelling breakup of there's like a beginning, middle, and ending feel of the story. Really well done. Helm got an amazing amount of spotlight, you know, for you know the original story. I'm not going to say anything. Again, spoilers for people who maybe don't know it. I want you to watch the original. I mean, just watch it. You haven't read the original story, but that was just really, really cool. That whole situation was just like. By the way, I have background music on of Lord of the Rings Online, if you're wondering. I'm standing by a fire in Lord of the Rings. That's why you're hearing all these different sound effects. These guys practicing with their bows and arrows. Yeah, it just, gosh. Yeah, the art was so good. The story, I like the storytelling. Some people might not like it. And again, I've seen a few people who, you know, they thought she was kind of girl bossy or whatever. I didn't feel that. Because for me, a girl boss or a Mary Sue is someone who is, again, I can do everything better than everybody else. I don't need anyone to save me. I don't respect anyone. I'm hot-headed about everything. That, to me, is like, you know, I have unnaturally good powers out of nowhere, right? A lot of people claim that about Rey in Star Wars. Again, I don't mind her as an actress, Daisy Ridley, and what she did. I think she was fine, and I think some of the Star Wars is fun, those newer ones. But it's unarguable that she is a Mary Sue because she has unfounded superpowers, right? Even Anakin had to train, and she's just like, oh, I can just grab everything with the Force. It's like Anakin couldn't even do that. He just had sensitivity, right? Early, even though he was so powerful. So she definitely had like unfounded, why your power is so great, right? Even when we find out later, right, that Rey has like, she's a Palpatine or whatever. Like, what the heck is that anyway? But anyway, that doesn't mean she should just, again, have just random superpowers instantly of the Force, right? Well, that's the same thing in War of the Rohirrim. That didn't happen. I didn't see that. Everything was realistic to a girl who has grown up, which they explained, by the way, at the intro. She's grown up under Helm as her father. She could ride a horse before she could walk. That's a real thing. That's not that she just has some superpowers, right? She really earned it, right? And again, I don't feel like I don't need to defend the show. Go watch the movie. I don't need to defend the movie. Go watch it for yourself, right? I'm not here to defend the movie. No one's paying me to defend the movie. What I'm talking about is I'm trying to point out that don't buy all the negative reviews and people saying that she's a Mary Sue and a girl boss, all that stuff. See it for yourself. If you think she is once you see it, then that's your prerogative, and you just don't. We agree to disagree on that, right? But I did not see it, and I'm someone that gets dreadfully frustrated with that. And it's been through so much media in the last 10 years, and it just drives me crazy when I see it. And it just makes me, it pulls me out of the immersion, and I'm just like, I'm just done, right? I just don't even watch this anymore. Like, that's what I feel like, right? And I got that feeling occasionally a few times watching certain episodes of Rings of Power, Amazon, right? And again, there's parts of Amazon Ring of Power that I enjoyed. There's parts that, you know, you watch my reviews, parts I really didn't like. I critiqued it a lot, right? Same thing, I will critique the War of the Rohirrim as well, but I think the War of the Rohirrim as a whole is a very good movie. Very good. It'll be something that the majority of people will watch for years to come that are Lord of the Rings fans. It felt Tolkien. Probably should have said at the very beginning of the video, but it felt Tolkien. If you got to the end of the video right now, you're amazing. But it was really, it respected Tolkien. I don't think it disrespected Tolkien at all. I don't think there was any of that. You know, I think I have to say one thing, and again, I'm a very positive person. Everyone is entitled to the freedom of speech and their perspective and their views. Everybody is. Absolutely. Right? You're my viewer. You do not have to agree with me. You just don't. You can do whatever you want. We're having fun here, right? I really would love it if more people would agree to disagree on things and just have fun talking about stuff, right? So have fun in the comments. Have a fun time. I would love to hear your thoughts on it after you've seen the movie. If you have an opinion before you've seen it, that's just fine. But don't just leave a comment that's like, oh, she's terrible. It's like, did you see the movie? No. It's like, you know, like you could have that opinion, I guess, but really you're probably taking on someone else's opinion, right? I really think so. I implore my viewers, go watch it for yourself. Think for yourself on that. I really appreciate it that you love hearing my opinion. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that you respect my opinion on that. I will always be a voice for Tolkien. I will point things out that I think are, like I did with Rings of Power Amazon, that I think that is totally changed the story. That's not respectful to Tolkien, that kind of thing. But with War of the Rohirrim, the main plot story was all there. Yes, Hera was in he had a daughter, but she wasn't named, and they added her in as the catalyst of us watching the whole story. But I think it's done in a very respectful way. And you'll find out, but why, you might ask then, well, why doesn't, you know, I can't say that. We'll have to wait for the spoiler video for that part. But again, keep that in mind. I want everyone to have fun, talk about it, all that stuff. Now, with all that out of the way, there's always going to be some people, right? And this might not be any of my viewers, right? But if it is too, you're again, welcome to your opinion. But some people are going to be they had themselves so ingrained in that they know it was going to be bad, that now that it came out and it actually is really good, they're going to find the stuff are bad, or they're going to twist it in their mind to be like, yeah, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Now, again, if you really think that, and you've really thought about it, then that's your opinion, and you're correct, right? That's your own mind, that's your own thoughts. I can't affect your own thoughts, right? I'm only affecting my own thoughts, right, in my own mind. So that's all I can do as a content creator and talking about this, right? What I saw and what I enjoyed about the show, I did not get any of those lurching feelings like I did in other movies and series when I knew something which is totally disrespectful to Tolkien, or it's just, you know, a character that's just overpowered, Mary Sue, and or like a token character that's just put there to represent something. I'm not even going to go into that, but I'll know what I'm talking about. I think that when they do that with any story, I think it's disrespectful to any group of people, by the way, when they do that. I think it should be, I think all stories should be respected for whoever original author was, for their respect. And also, I think when people just drop in a random character, it's disrespectful to the group of people maybe they're trying to represent or something. I think it's disrespectful. Just go tell a story from that group of people, right? If it's a historical story, or if it's a fantasy story, it's something they wrote, right? I think that would be really good. And mind the way, voice acting, that's a whole nother thing, right? If there were different groups of people voice acting different characters that maybe look a lot different to them, but they just did a voice, that's fine. That's cool, right? If they were the right voice for the character, you're set, right? So, by the way, voice acting wise, now that I brought that up, awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome voice acting. All the voices were great. They were fantastic. I'm trying to think of any if I didn't like any of them. No, it was awesome. The feeling of some of the parts were really well done. I literally, when they were in Helm's Deep, I literally started feeling cold. I think it was subconscious. And then I was like, it's not cold in here. I'm not cold. But I started feeling almost like to shiver because of the storytelling when they were caught in winter. That's all I'll say, because I don't want to give spoilers. If you don't. But if you know the original story, you know why. But I really started feeling cold myself in the theater because it was so... I was being so... That third wall, I was so engrossed into the story, or immersed into the story is the right word I'm looking for, that I was like... I realized I was like... I forgot about everything else. For like 2 hours after the movie, too, I felt like all I could think about was how fun the movie was, and my day right then. I had no thinking of the next day or the previous day of my my life just in general. I do that a lot. I always think ahead, like, what am I doing tomorrow? I always sometimes forget to think about the moment, which I think is we all should practice to enjoy the moment. But the movie was so good, it just helped me enjoy the moment for like 4 or 5 hours. I was just like thinking about it the whole time, like, oh, that was so good. I loved it. That and that. And then I found one or two things. I'm like, yeah, they could have changed that part, but otherwise, I really like the rest of it. You know, that's just going through my head, right? So, anyway, that is my first video on my thoughts on the War of the Rohirrim with no spoilers, and my first opinions and thoughts on it. You got to go watch it. It's awesome. Let's support it. I will cover, I'm going to show you, I got the Stein mug and I got the hammer. I also got these two little plushies here. It's a little Helm hammer hand and the Hera. Stuck them there for now. They're not going to stay there, but for now. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. I think I'll stop there, because most of you probably won't want to go after. Oh, wait. You guys are going to be like, we wanted a longer video. So anyway, I hope this was fun for you. I had a great time at the theater. It was really fun. I saw it in Adobe with all the good sound and visuals and really comfy chair, and it was very enjoyable. And it was just really, it was a really, really fun day. And very nice people to talk to at that theater, too. Shout out to them if they're watching this video. One of them asked me on my channel. But yeah, that was what I thought about the movie in general. And I have a feeling of relief that it wasn't what I was just worrying it was going to be bad, and an exhilarated excitement that it's so much better than I thought it was going to be. And it just makes me have it. I have hope again. It's kind of like the One Piece animated. Okay, that's what I compare it to. We had so many live adaptations going from anime to live action that were awful, right? All of us know who've been watching that, right? We've been seeing that even out of, shouldn't say it on YouTube. I'm gonna get Disney, right? They've been like keep changing things all the time with our live actions. It's like for example, for me, the original Lion King. Why did they take out the Scar song? The scary Scar song. They're like, well, it sounds too scary, like a certain regime in the history. That was the point. They were evil. It's like, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm just like, oh, but anyway, I think it was a really, really good. I loved it so much. I think the majority of you guys are going to love it. I think some people might critique it. I think some of you might not like it. That's normal. That's life. Not everyone's going to like everything. But I think on the leaning, it's going to be more people are going to be like, oh, this was really good, right? With little tiny critiques maybe here and there, or some of you loving every bit of it, right? I almost loved every bit of it. There's like 2 or 3 little critiques I'll do in my spoilers video, but it was really good. I am just, oh gosh, I'm just so excited. It's so refreshing to have something that's good. Ugh, I just can't even tell you guys. It's just like, yes, victory, finally. Finally, a good adaptation. Like, it's been like so long. It's been like being on the doldrums in the ocean, or being caught in this desert savannah with no water, and you finally find the wind blows on the ocean, or you find the oasis. It's like, yes! We're alive! It's, gosh, man, it was just like, that is so awesome. And again, I really love the One Piece live action adaptation, and guess why it was good? The original guy who did the original anime was the guy directing it. Why was the War of the Rohirrim good? Well, I think it's because the certain directors were part of the original group who did Peter Jackson adaptation. And one thing they did a good job of is they didn't put anything from our world into it. You know what I'm talking about. An agenda, a theme, a political view of any side. I don't care what side. You guys know me. I'm quite moderate on that stuff, and I don't talk about political stuff, because there's a reason. I even hold myself back from it, because unfortunately, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, people can't really always agree to disagree on things. I wish people could. I'm the kind of guy on my day-to-day basis, if someone wants to talk to me about something and they completely disagree with me about something political or something else in the world, we have fun talking, and I'm like, oh, cool, fun, that was a fun talk. Agree to disagree on that one point, and we agree on this other point, sweet. Have a great day. We stay happy and we keep going, right? Like, I wish people could do that more, but unfortunately, it just doesn't happen. It gets people's emotions up, that kind of stuff. But I just want to tell you, that's why when we see that in our movies or TV shows or video games, we get frustrated, right? As viewers and content creators or whoever, we get frustrated because we're like, we don't want that in there. I don't want to get reminded of this thing or whatever in the world. It's like, don't put that in front of me again. I want to just be in the fantasy world, the sci-fi world, right? It's not a historical document, right, of what's going on. So I think they did a good job. They did not do that in the War of the Rohirrim. I felt nothing of that. In Amazon's Rings of Power, as a comparison, that wasn't through the whole thing, but there were 2 or 3 spots, which I talked about in my reviews, where that absolutely happened. And that was a little bit frustrating, right? But again, War of the Rohirrim, nope, didn't happen. Fantastic. Just the original story, and they added additions of Hera to be the connection of the story with a couple other characters to kind of... So you had a group to follow along with, right? While you're watching the story without, like, completely writing new material for Helm, what he's doing, right? Everything Helm does is what Tolkien says he does, right? Because he was the main character, which he is pretty much the main character in the show still, okay? Him, his sons, and then Hera. They're the main characters of the show. A movie. I keep saying show, but you guys know what I say. I lived in the South for a while when I was young, and they reversed. They would say show for movie a lot, so I still do that. Not blaming them. Maybe they don't do that anymore, but you know, that was like 12 years ago or whatever when I lived there. And then I was born here in Southern California. Went there and came back. Anyway, moving on. It was for my dad's work. Never mind. Moving on. Cut that, Zollin. Cut that. All right. Editor's all, no, it's too much work. Oh, dang. All right, you guys. Anyway, it was really great. Thank you for watching this video. And thanks to my Patreons for their support. Thank you, Red, for being a roller guard. If you guys have the means or inklings to want to support in that way and get some extra bonuses, links down there. But again, no obligation. Like and subscribe. That's free. Really helps me out a lot. We're going to do lots more Lord of the Rings stuff. I've got some other cool things, and I will be having the spoilers version of the video talking about the War of the Rohirrim coming out as well. Also, just a side note, do you guys like this style where I'm like talking about it or just talking with you with the recording? Or would you guys rather me to like just have my voice where I'm like doing pictures while I talk about something like this? I don't know. What do you guys think? I personally like this because I feel like I can just be myself and just chat without having to think about doing a bunch of other things. So you let me know. But again, thank you to them. Follow me on X and Facebook. That would be great. I'm trying to get through thresholds on there so we can stream on those platforms. And thank you for liking and subscribing. Have a great and wonderful day. I hope you enjoy War of the Rohirrim if you haven't seen it yet. And I will have a spoilers video coming out soon talking about more in depth with all the details on what I think about everything, too, with that. But thank you for listening, guys, and have a great day in Middle-earth. Baruch Hazan! Kuzan I menu! For Rohan!